Two very awesome devices, but they're both going to appeal to two very different demographics. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I'm here with the HTC One S and the Galaxy Note. You know the specs, but which one is the ultimate Android device? We're going to find out, but first, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with rebates, no paperwork, waiting 8 to 10 weeks. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out that door and you'll pay the after rebate price. Let's take a look. HTC One S, Samsung Galaxy Note. Which one's the must-have Android phone? The big one or the small one? Let's find out, starting right now. They're pretty different if I say so myself. I've got two devices here, both awesome Android devices, but both very different devices that appeal to different people depending on what you like. Here's the HTC One S. This is available now at T-Mobile, in T-Mobile retail stores and online, but in this dogfight there's a little bit of a twist because this is the AT&T Galaxy Note. So what I've done is unlocked it, and I have an AT&T SIM card in here so we can get some kind of head-to-head comparison between the service. Again, this is not available on AT&T, it's available on T-Mobile, but just to give you a rundown of the specs, it's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 CPU. That's a mouthful, isn't it? A 4.3-inch Super AMOLED display with 540 by 960 pixels, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, a 1,650 milliamp hour battery, a front-facing camera, and then it has Android 4.0 with Android 4.0 known as Ice Cream Sandwich with HTC Sense version 4. Now, this is one of HTC's One devices announced at Mobile World Congress, and then you have the Samsung Galaxy Note over here, the big device, the iconic device, Samsung's major device for at least this part of the year. So hopefully, you know, we've got the Galaxy event coming up soon in London, so we'll see what they have up their sleeves for the next part of the Galaxy line. But right now, the Note is where it's at. It's available now at AT&T for $299.99, and it's packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S3 processor. So keep in mind, same clock speed, both dual-core, but this is the newer version. This is the older version, S4 and S3. A 5.3-inch Super AMOLED HD display over here, an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, a 2,500 milliamp hour battery to power that big 5.3-inch display, and then it has AT&T's 4G LTE connectivity over here on the AT&T version, at least. I've got the white version in the house, and you can really see the size difference here. It's got Android 4.0 with TouchWiz version 4, which is Samsung's custom user interface. So you can see what they look like. Obviously, both running running Gingerbread over here, Android 2.3 over here, running Ice Cream Sandwich over here, but two very different user interfaces, obviously, because you're running HTC Skin over here, you're running Samsung Skin. This is going to be upgraded at some point to Ice Cream Sandwich, so we don't have a time frame as to when. But you can just see, we'll start with the notification bar, for example, just to give you an idea of how different these look, and really take a look in this video at the screen real estate difference between the two devices. Up here on the Samsung Galaxy Note, you have some shortcuts, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, airplane mode, and screen resolution. You have the settings shortcut button here, and then you don't over here. AT&T's network ID stays in the top left-hand corner on the Galaxy Note, and then you can see the menu here is a little bit different also. Both apps scroll from side to side, but to give you an idea to what you get out of the box, you get 411 and more over here, game-based, and these are T-Mobile applications, so keep that in mind. T-Mobile Hotspot, More For Me, My T-Mobile, Lookout Security, which actually is not a T-Mobile application, but it comes pre-installed. T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile Name ID, T-Mobile TV, Visual Voicemail, Where's My Water, a little game, and then Zenio as well. And you'll notice Ice Cream Sandwich, there's some nice shortcuts up here. Search, Play Store, and Menu, because you'll notice there's no menu button down here anymore. It's back, Home, and then Recent Applications, whereas on older devices, you have the menu button, Home, back, and then search down here. So obviously, big display over here means a nice big dock in the bottom with 5 icons, including your home button or your apps drawer. And then out of the gate, you get some stuff like Amazon Kindle. You get a bunch of AT&T stuff, code scanner, and some stuff that I've uninstalled because I use this device as my personal device for 30 days as part of that Samsung Galaxy Note challenge. So not everything's installed here, but you got the code scanner, just for example, ready to go. You got featured applications. Let's see what else. My AT&T. You got YP Mobile, and a couple of other AT&T things. Now, the good thing about the AT&T side is they've realized that their customers, they may not want Navigator. They may not want YP Mobile. Well, you can uninstall most of that if you don't want it, which is a nice touch. On the T-Mobile side, unfortunately, you can't uninstall TV or T-Mobile Mall or anything like that. So if you don't use it, you got to keep it on the device nonetheless. So you can see one thing I like about the Samsung side here is you got these little buttons down here at the bottom, or these little dots that show you where you're at, but then over here, you don't have that, but you got this cool little thing at the bottom where you can scroll over between frequent and then downloaded applications. And apparently it's hard to do without having a hand on the device, as you can see, but pretty pretty neat little feature there. Now, one thing I've given TouchWiz a ton of credit for in past videos, and if you watch my videos, you know this, customizable widgets over here on this side. You have 7 home screens on both units. You can pinch to zoom out on both and easily access your 7 home screens. So let's go to a blank one, for example, and take a look at the differences here. Press and hold on the 1S to access the widget menu. Press and hold over here on Gingerbread, and you're going to see this kind of custom TouchWiz 4.0 look and feel where you can scroll between your home screens. Then I can add a widget, for example, and I can scroll through all my available widgets. Navigator, battery life, you know, calendar widgets, for example. And let's go to Samsung one I know is customizable. Let's go to AccuWeather, for example. I'll come back over here, press and hold, and bring it up here. Now obviously it takes up some of the screen, and I can easily access that. We'll go back to over here, we're going to lift it up to the top, and then you can see I have the ability to customize the size. So I can either bring it down, I can make it that size if I want to, I can make it that size, I can make it that size. I have a lot of different choices with how I size the widget. In fact, it's so cool that the police are on their way because they want to see the demo as well. That's the joy of having an office in the middle of Uptown. It's constant sirens. But same thing over here. I've criticized HTC in the past for not having customizable widgets. They've listened. Maybe they even listened to me. Who knows? But they have customizable widgets in Ice Cream Sandwich, in Sense 4 at least. On the HTC side, but you can see the 7 home screens here. You've got your bookmarks, for example. I'll press that, and we'll get the bookmarks in here so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll go over here to the home screen. Once the widget's in place, I can change the size of it, and they're dynamic, so I can scroll up and down through the widgets. Huge touch, something I really, really like now that HTC is supporting it. And obviously, Sense 4 has undergone some major improvements. If you're not a fan of Sense, you know, which I've loved it at some points and disliked it at some points because I thought it's gotten too bloaty and kind of hard to use and just really annoying, for lack of a better word. Sense 4 is a whole new experience. I mean, it definitely has some overlay stuff in comparison to stock Ice Cream Sandwich, but it's a much better experience and much more fluid than past versions. And this S4, you know, is a really, really nice performer in terms of speed. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's take a look at messaging on both of these. Forgive me while I pull both of these out to get to an empty message here so we can take a look at the actual keyboard, because I have used both of these devices as test devices, so we wouldn't want text messages popping up now, would we? So press and hold here and take a look at the keyboards that come pre-installed. On the notes, you get Android keyboard, you get Samsung's keyboard, and then you get Swipe. This is one that I've downloaded from the Google Play Store, Ice Cream Sandwich Keyboard Donation. And then over here, you only get the HTC keyboard, but you do get, and I think I've turned it off, yeah, Trace Input pre-installed over here. So obviously, Swipe doesn't work with Ice Cream Sandwich, so you don't have the ability to use Swipe as a secondary keyboard, but we'll say Quick Brown Fox is hungry for ice cream. Quick Brown Fox is hungry for ice cream. Not at all what I spell, but you can see transition effects are nice and fast over here. And they've really made some improvements to, I say this as I misspell all this stuff, but they made some improvements to the HTC keyboard, and it is much easier to type on. Now for me, between this one and the 1X, the 1S would be my go-to device. This is much easier to hold in the hand. The 4.3-inch screen size is a much better medium to me than the 4.7-inch display. So I would go for this every single time, but that's just me personally. So you got this, and it's easy to hold in the hand, and the build quality is absolutely beautiful. You've got a nice metal build quality with Beats audio support here, and you got these top and bottom where you can easily access the SIM card, and you got some plastic down here at the bottom. My assumption is it's for network communication in terms of like signal or reception, you know, radios, things like that. But you've got your micro USB charging port over on the left, your volume rocker over here, your power button and 3.5mm headphone jack up top. Similar setup over here on the Note with the headphone jack, the volume rockers on the left, and the power buttons on the right, and the micro USB charging port and S Pen, which we'll talk about in part 2, is over on the bottom. So you can see the keyboard set up here. Let's go to the Samsung keyboard just to show you what it looks like, because obviously that's one that comes pre-installed on this unit. So I can say the Quick Brown Fox, and honestly not one of my favorite keyboards, but let's give it a go here. Jumped over the Lazy Dog. Quick Brown Fox jumped over the Lazy Dog, and you have a couple of different options here. Again, landscape mode. Huge 5.3-inch display is going to make this thing incredibly easy to type on, but obviously, as you can see, even in somebody with a larger hand like mine, you can see it's really hard to hold. I mean, it's definitely a two-handed device for a lot of people, and even if it is a one-hand, you can see devices like the 1S almost fit inside of the Galaxy Note. So it's a device that's going to appeal to a certain type of person. I mean, whether you enjoy web browsing, you enjoy downloading music, you enjoy watching music videos, that's the kind of audience I see for this device, where you really should take advantage of that screen real estate. Whereas over here, this one's a little bit more pocketable, a little bit more like a typical smartphone. So it really depends on what you're doing. Let's take a quick look at PhoneDog.com on both of these devices. We'll load up PhoneDog there. We'll load up PhoneDog over here and get these to load up. Now this one has an AT&T SIM card pre-installed, so it's running on AT&T's HSPA Plus network. So load up Phone Dock on both, and then you can see these are loading up. So S4 versus S3 over here, but you have a nice big display on the Galaxy Note. So you can see pinch to zoom, relatively responsive over here, and you'll see it's kind of customized for the larger display with dedicated back and forward buttons, your tabs, and then your bookmarks over here. Again, transition effects, relatively nice and fast over here. A little to no lag, a little bit of checkerboarding, but nothing too wild over there. Then over here, pinch to zoom incredibly fast, and then transition effects are very zippy over here also. So the 1S does a really good job in terms of speed. So, you know, you can kind of see a pattern emerging here. You got the big display over here. So, if, like I said, movies, music, browsing the web, ultimate device here, especially with the pen. And then over here you can see Speed Demon device is what I immediately think of here, and obviously with a different build quality. So maybe you're coming from the iPhone 4 or the 4S, you're like, I really want an Android phone, I'm super sick of iOS, but I can't find one that matches the build quality of the iPhone 4 or the 4S. This could be your device with the metal accents and just the way it looks here with the metal top and then beautiful metal sides. This could be the ultimate device for you. Now this is something really quickly that is not in Gingerbread, but is an ice cream sandwich. The recent apps, where I can scroll through here and close out recent apps really easily like that. And that's a feature of Ice Cream Sandwich. You don't quite get that over here, but you do have some built-in task killers on TouchWiz 4 if that's something that interests you.